Hi, this is Pruning and Forestry 101. As you can see here, this cherry, black cherry by the way, very delicious cherry berries. I was a poet and I didn't know it. Anyway, as you can see, this is forming into a very interesting little bowl here at the base of the tree. And what has happened here is this used to be a fence line, and the fencing wire, I guess it was barbed wire, got too close to the tree, and as it grew, the tree actually grew and grew and grew and eventually grew around the wire. And I think you can see a little piece of the wire here. It may have fallen off, but anyway, you can see in your imagination's eye how that wire grew around the tree. And I'm sorry I can't show you any wire, but it was there, I'm sure of it. And as you can see from here, this young maple, red maple, has a habit, like a lot of maple trees do around here, of having the young branches grow nearly vertical and almost parallel to the main trunk. And that's not a healthy thing, because as you can see, the trunk, this is what's called a healing ring. The healing ring is actually trying to compensate for the closeness of the branch by forming it's really scar tissue is what it is. It's a tree wound in the making, and the tree is actually trying to grow around it. And eventually what will happen if I leave this branch on here is the tree, as it gets bigger and bigger, it's going to try to encompass this, and it's treating it as a broken branch. Now, as you saw with the black cherry, trees like to survive, and what happens is, in that case, the tree actually survived to a pretty good age. However, the bark simply grew in a circle around the offending wire and formed a very weak link in that tree trunk, and I'm actually going to have it taken down within the month. But anyway, as you recall, in the last portion of this video, I showed you a red maple which had a narrow angle crotch coming out of it, and I showed you how the tree is starting to form healing wound tissue, scar tissue around the offending branch. Now, as you can see here on this specimen here, this is exactly what I was talking about. See that? That's scar tissue. That's a healing, part of a healing ring. One of these branches should have been the main leader, and they competed with one another, and this is what happened. You may think that's one tree or one branch, but it's not. It's a very injurious condition that makes trees weak. And what happens is, here's a bigger, older example, right? I split this, and what is happening is, if you can see, that's bark in there. And the bark actually belongs to one of these branches. And it never really grew to be a solid tree trunk, so that you have that permanent situation here where it's extremely weak, and it formed a narrow angle crotch between these two young tree trunks or branches, and they'll never actually grow together. And there's an example of the bark that was inside inside that tree. And that is an invitation to insect invasion and disease. And if I hit this thing hard enough, as you can see, see that? There's bark in there. It's crumbly and half rotted because the moisture from rain and snow and stuff never really lets it dry out. But that's bark material. And that's what happens when trees kind of like, you know, this is a pretty healthy, this is a cherry too, but I can show you a properly growing 45-degree branch on a tree that is going to grow nice and strong and healthy. See, I believe this is a black maple. Anyway, as you can see, this narrow angle, it's not a narrow angle, it's a 45-degree branch. The tree is happy with this branch because the bark is not forming a healing ring around it like this one is. See how it's just so involved in trying to heal itself. It thinks that this branch is not cooperating. And here's another example. Here, this may turn out to be, if it's left alone, it may turn out to be a very healthy side branch on this tree, but right now it's really trying to heal itself. It's treating that as a wounded, broken branch. So and you can see here, here's another very good example on this side. And eventually this main trunk is going to take over and try to grow around this section here, and it's going to be treated as two branches and not a whole trunk. So as you can see, it's not a healthy condition. Anyway, those of you that are going to be tubing in here on YouTube looking for some information on arboriculture, gardening, pruning, and tree science, although I'm not a scientist, I have about 40 years of experience in horticulture, and that's a little bit of the knowledge that I know about. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you'd like to comment, please do so. I'll answer them all. Thank you very much. Have a good day.